and welcome back to Life Matters, the show where we explore all things spiritual and all things topical. Today's show, we're looking at live reading via social media. Does it take away kind of the personal aspect of a reading, or actually can that distance affect its accuracy? So, Gilly, who have we got on the show today?
So, on today's show, Richard, we have Sallyann and Bob Hunt, Rachael Setford-Berry, Anne Corder-Mills, and finally John Taylor.
Fantastic. So, well, we're all here. Let's start the show. What shall we talk about first?
Okay, so first of all, we've got Sallyann and Bob. So welcome to the show.
Thank you.
How are you both feeling?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Good. Okay, so I believe you run a site called Keep It Real Spiritual and Paranormal Events.
Yes, we do.
So can you tell us a bit more about that?
You'll leave it to me?
Yeah. In your own words, what is it?
Basically what we do, we organise events that will range from mediumship demonstrations, workshops, one-to-one readings, ghost hunts, and it's the whole raft of the paranormal and spiritual is what we're aiming for. We do it on a non-profit operation, so that everything, if we do make something, it all gets ploughed back in, and that allows us to get better equipment and obviously do better stuff for the public that are coming with us.
So how long have you guys been running that for?
2015. Publicly 2015. We've done about a year before that as well, privately, to just get the feel of the way we both worked and to bring in team members with us. So,
Okay.
yeah.
And actually, it kind of sounds like, from what you do, it's a very personal kind of service. A lot of it relies on people
Indeed.
being in the same location as you.
It does, yeah. I mean, and also, obviously, with what we do, you get a lot of people that want you to visit their home because they're having a problem, or they just like you to go there and have messages from Sally and other mediums that we use.
Oh, okay.
So
Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
So the probably obvious question here is you're married. So did you meet through this, or is this something
we
that was-
did, yeah.
Yeah.
I was a scientific-based ghost hunter
Okay.
for many years before I met Sally, and the early conversations we had with Sally saying, but you're only doing half of the paranormal investigation, you're missing out totally on the spiritual side. And I said, well, I don't really understand that, but come on, we'll go out and you show me. So as we were going through the night, we would obviously do an investigation, and she's saying, like, there's a man stood over there. His name's Tom. And I said, well, that's fine because you can see him, but I can't. So I need him to interact with a piece of equipment and show me that he's there. So
wow, amazing.
we try to do the both all the time.
So actually then, kind of in the time that you've been doing it, has technology played quite a big role in what you do? Obviously, you said you initially start off with that
Yeah.
scientific method.
Yeah, to be fair.
How has that changed as you kind of moved into more of a spiritual role?
To understand it, really, you need to understand there is a difference between a ghost and a spirit. Would you like to explain that?
Yeah, basically, I mean, the main basic difference is a spirit is intelligent. If you
Really?
put a ghost as a replay that's doing the same thing, so if you see a ghost that's walking through a door that's no longer there, that's a ghost because it's just replaying what it did during its lifetime.
Oh wow. Okay.
The easiest way of explaining that is a stone tape theory, where something has been recorded into the fabric of the building and it just replays under certain conditions.
So similar to those sort of like time slips that people have experienced as well.
Yeah, that sort of thing. But it's just replaying. I don't know this. If you look at computer games, when you're say doing a speed lap, your fastest one will be the ghost lap. So it's just showing you what it did before.
So like an echo.
Yeah. So that's exactly what it is. Whereas a spirit has intelligence and will choose whether it wants to interact with you or not. It
So-
can be there, but decide to say nothing.
So if I was to pass away, right? So
Yeah.
what would determine whether I'm going to be a ghost or a
You.
spirit? Really?
You would.
Just like that?
Well, the ghost, no, you wouldn't have any determination on being a ghost because a ghost is recording anyway.
Yeah.
The difference would be whether you chose to come back as a spirit to interact with people that are on the earth plane.
Oh, okay.
So again, I suppose it kind of links into what some people maybe call like their unfinished business. They come back, they want to pass on sort of message, or again the idea of that companion, that guardian angel, somebody that wants to look after a family member.
A loved one. Yeah. I do find that with my readings, the majority of people, if I go out to an investigation where there's activity, is the spirit is there of a loved one that is trying to communicate with them, because there's some sort of guilt that's been left, like they didn't make it to the passing in time, and they need to bring that message through to the person that's still walking the earth plane, to allow them to absorb it, to heal, and to walk on with their path as they live here.
And again, it's quite a personal thing that you do, as you mentioned before, often going into people's homes and doing that. But
yeah.
again, think about our kind of theme for the day is then, have you ever kind of transcended that and done it, say, via social media or via video call or something like that?
No. In this type of thing, I need to go in, I need to feel the energy, I need to, not only of the building, but I also need to feel the energy coming from the person, and sit down, because like we had a recent investigation where a child wouldn't sleep in the bedroom. I think he was about 3, wasn't he? He was disturbed by it. There was things moving in the home. We were called in. As soon as I walked through the door, I was aware that Grandad was standing there from Spirit.
Oh, wow.
And God bless him, he was here trying to help her cope and look after this little one, because he's quite active. But by him doing this and going into the bedroom and trying to help her settle the little one, it was having the adverse effect.
Yeah.
So we had to thank Grandad, tell them who it was in the house, because of course it's spooking her because she didn't realise it was only a loved one who was there to look after them, not do anything else. And Grandad decided he'd step away. I did get a message a couple of weeks later saying the boy's back in his bed and everything's lovely.
So that's what Diane's out with. That's amazing, isn't it?
So really, in what I'm hearing from you, in that instance, actually, you maybe wouldn't have been able to do that remotely, so to speak. You kind of, it was only by stepping across that threshold, you got that feeling.
Yeah, it's quite possible that I could have got the link, but it's much stronger. I can get straight in and on it as soon as we walk through the door. Obviously, Spirit can communicate with you from distance. But on something like that, it's better to be there in person. Also, to feel the energy from the person and give them comfort and let them know there is nothing to fear here. This is your own father.
So that's a really nice ending to that story.
Yeah.
Have you been in a situation where it hasn't been quite like that? It's been a bit more tricky or challenging?
No, I've always been able. Well, we have always been able to settle things. As I say, because I work from the spiritual side, I'm a medium. Bob is paranormal, so you can sort it out that night.
So you're kind of like an intermediary between the two worlds then. Is it often that you find that these spirits, that they're communicating with people, but necessarily the people they're communicating with can't understand them or can't read the signs or don't know how to interpret
That's the majority, yeah, because I've got poltergeist activity. Poltergeist activity every time we've been out to anything is a loved one. First of all, they try to talk to them, and of course they can't hear them. And then they start moving things, and then they start throwing things, and it builds and builds until the person's unnerved. We get a call, we go in, and they're just trying to communicate, tell them I didn't mind them not being there, they were not supposed to be there when I passed, stop feeling guilty, I love you, that type of thing. Also, I'm getting goose pimply now because somebody's coming in.
What's coming in?
Basically, I'm a voice box in between the two worlds, to bring peace and comfort to the people this side, to pass a message across, because Spirit can hear you, but you can't necessarily hear Spirit, so I'm the loudspeaker in the middle.
So here's a question for you. Can the Spirit see absolutely everything that you're doing?
Yes. Now, I will explain this now for a lot of people at home that's probably thinking about it.
People don't have the same level of shame as other people.
We are an energy. So when Spirit look at us, they see our energy lights. Okay. Now, if they were to appear to me as energy and with their lights, I wouldn't be able to describe them to you. You want to see the human form.
Yes.
So that's what they show. But when they're looking at you, they're seeing your energy light because they know your energy.
So they're not seeing me in my human form?
No, you can have a bath without your bikini.
Because that's the end of that now. I'll my bathing costume.
I think that unnerves a lot of people. Oh my word. Also, when we're doing something private, they do back away. They have got respect.
Oh, okay. So that's the other thing. So say someone passed away in my family and I was at home. Yeah. Would it only be family members coming into my house if they wanted to connect with me, or are there roaming spirits around? Does that make sense?
It depends on your ground and on your building.
Oh, okay.
Okay. The ones that want to communicate with you are your loved ones.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of energy for them to come forward and communicate, and they're not going to waste their time. I
see, yeah.
It's like when we go on paranormal investigations, I don't want anyone attaching to me and coming home. I personally don't believe in attachment, because if I've got energy from the spirit side, I'm not going to attach to a stranger and go home with them.
So they can do that too then? Attach
your loved one will be with you all the time. They're with you now.
Like, can a stranger attach themselves to you?
No, I don't believe in it. Okay. No, I've not come across it, and I don't believe in it. The only people that are going to use their energy from the spirit realm to attach to you is your loved ones, because nothing will break that love hold.
It's not to say you won't have a visit from another spirit, because someone from a building could visit, and then we have had a case once where we done an investigation. We went home, I woke up probably about 3 hours after we'd been in, just woke up in the dark, and there was a face at the far end of the room. So to me, it was the fella that we were communicating with at the site. He'd just come back and went, oh, that's where you live, maybe that, and then he was gone.
Yeah.
You just fancied a bit of a holiday.
Yeah, he just come down. You know, if you've connected and you get on with somebody, it's just like making a friend on earth. And
You say when we've got to imagine ourselves as a spirit, and I'm talking to you and you can't hear me. You imagine the frustration, especially if it's your loved one and they're upset, and you're standing there trying to talk to them.
Yeah.
So you need a communicator. So when the spirit finds a communicator, they do tend to hang around that. We also get people that's in for, I'm going out to do a reading the following day, and I'm suddenly aware I've got somebody by the side of me talking, and it's not making any sense to me. When I go out to that reading, they're with them. So everything that happened yesterday, I know is to be passed across.
So are you saying you can hear like an actual voice, like me speaking?
I can, yeah. I can visualise, I can feel through my body, so I can feel the illnesses, etc., that they pass through to me. I can hear them speaking. I can't say this is guaranteed with every reading, because it depends on how they're communicating. But yes, I can hear, I can see, I can feel.
And have you ever had any spirit try to communicate you in a language that you don't understand?
Oh, that's interesting, isn't
No,
it?
they speak English.
At least the ones you've communicated.
If you've got somebody that can would have difficulty in communicating it in the language that I speak, they'll show you. And it's a bit like playing catchphrase. They'll show you something, and you instinctively pull out what they're showing you that you know that you give to the other person. Was
it difficult at first, particularly for yourself, obviously coming from the kind of very methodical, technical, scientific world, to then incorporate the spiritual into it?
Do you know what? I think there was a point during my life just before we met that we were actually toying with the idea of having done it with scientific. We knew we'd had enough evidence to say there was something, but we didn't know what it was. So we had gone into a couple of spiritual churches to ask the question, look, we know this, we've got the evidence, can you explain it to me? And they didn't have any more answers than we did. So yeah, we were leaning to a slightly more spiritual side to include, but then meeting it with Sally just completely changed the way that we operated. Well, we had to actually start all over again on our own to operate in a different way.
Yeah, because when we do an investigation, like we've got one tonight, we go in and we work from both sides for the simple reason spirit are alive. They do want to communicate with you, so I can hear them, and we can also have the scientific proof at the same time. What we tend to do, because we've got a lot of little gadgets that lights go off and sounds go. So you're saying, I know I can speak to you, but other people here can't understand that, they can't hear you. So could you go across to this box because the lights would go up, won't harm you in any way. So we work that way so we can try and combine the two with the communication and the science.
So this investigation this evening, is this somebody that has called you and said, look, we've got
it's a
situation?
public. We do public.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we do public as well as private investigations. Once a month we do a public one where people are invited as guests into it. And then we get the private one, which is confidential. We don't allow anyone to know where we're going, who it is with, and we go in that way as well.
Well, it sounds like you make a great partnership, and certainly you've kind of been able to then explore kind of different areas of kind of the spirit world in quite a unique way. But thank you both very much for coming.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And you can find some more details on this at the Facebook page Keep It Real Spiritual and Paranormal Events.
Well, welcome back to Life Matters with me, Richard Stringer.
And me, Gilly Franks.
And Gilly, I understand we've got our next guest.
Yes, Rachael, welcome.
Hello.
Hi, and thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
So tell us a bit more about what you do.
The way that I describe myself is actually as a healer, teacher and a modern mystic. I work in several different areas, obviously healing, I'm a spiritual medium and a psychic, and I teach everything that I do. So.
And you just say you describe yourself as a modern mystic, so how does that differ from the more traditional mystic?
Old-fashioned mystic. It's funny because it's something that came up a few years ago, and we were discussing where are all the mystics. So the mystics would have been the people that channeled all the information, and the church would have taken it and done what they needed to with it. And where are all these people now? And from the discussions we had is, this is us. We are the ones who are getting this information through. We are the people who are in contact with spirit and trying to move our spirituality and our humanity forward. So So rather than being a nun sat in a room somewhere, I'm a little bit different to that. So,
okay. So do you think maybe kind of our modern technology maybe has pulled us away from those more sort of traditional methods, and so have you had to find other ways to communicate this to people?
Yeah, it's interesting because something which we always used to use was a term soul group, and for me it's now turning into a soul tribe, but part of that has been facilitated by the fact that we're able to contact so many more people via the internet. There's always good and bad to everything. I certainly think that quiet time spent away from the internet without your phone is really, really important for everyone to have that quiet mind. But also using that where you need to. So there may be people who, where they live, they haven't got communities, or they haven't got, maybe there isn't a group that they connect with. So having the access to the internet can sometimes give people that connection that they need.
It's interesting you use that term tribe as well. So is that kind of that collective group that we can identify with? And because of things like the internet, that might be a group the other side of the world.
Absolutely. So, I've made friends with people in the States and America and Australia and places like that, South Africa. And you think, actually, I wouldn't have made these connections otherwise. And you know that you've got the connection, you can feel the connection, you kind of get each other. So, and then you can run things past each other, particularly if you've got somebody who's, in an area where there isn't a lot of open spirituality and they need somebody to, even just to chat to sometimes.
Okay, so you carry out different treatments, don't you?
Yes.
So can you tell us a bit more about, I spoke to you earlier about the Galilean therapy, is that right?
So I do, I started off as a Reiki healer, and I brought in other things like hypnotherapy and crystal therapy. And Galilean is something that I've developed myself, which it's all like a bona fide healing modality, which I also teach. But it's a mixture of energy healing and hypnotherapy techniques, and the idea is to get back to the root cause and the root problem that somebody's maybe blocked with in their life, or an emotional illness, or even a physical illness as well. I get a lot of people who find themselves in cycles of depression or anxiety, trying to, why can't I get myself out of this? And it's to do with going back and healing where that started effectively.
Okay, and then what is sound healing?
Sound healing, it's if we all know on a subatomic level we're all made out of energy. Yeah. And they've actually realised over the last few years that our nerve impulses don't work on electrical impulses, they're actually sound impulses. So all you've got to do is to hear a sound, and that can resonate throughout your whole body. So when you work with sound, you're realigning your the vibration within your cells back in a similar way that with other energy healing techniques, but using the sound to realign your energy back to where it should be.
So being in the middle of the mosh pit might do some serious damage there.
It might do. It might also give you the opportunity to release maybe some pent-up anger that you need to get rid of. So I wouldn't, the mosh pit might have its place actually at times,
So you're also a mother.
Yes, I am indeed.
How do you fit all of this in? You sound like a very busy lady.
Yeah, with great difficulty is the long and the short answer. It's interesting because over the last few years I really did have to sort of look at how much pressure I was putting on myself and how much pressure I was owning, that other people had expectations of me to, behave like a large business. And I thought, no, actually, you know what, I am a small business, I'm an individual. So if people want to work with a business that gets back to them at 11 o'clock at night, or does readings at 1 o'clock in the morning, that's not going to be me. Yeah. So I do have to manage it and very much separate out my kids, because my children are part of my spiritual pathway. I truly believe that they came to me for a reason. So.
Are they following in your footsteps, do you think?
It's interesting because they all work and their energies are all very different, as all of our personalities are. So my eldest son has always been into his crystals. The Galilean healing actually works very much around the heart energy, and he gave me a lot of the information on that when he was about 3 or 4. So as he's got older, the children tend to become acclimatised to the world and to school. He's moved away from that a bit, but he does struggle because he's autistic. So he struggles with the whole social aspect, but he very much tunes into some very high energies angelically. My daughter, who's currently 4, she's going to be 5 soon and starting school, she comes in much more on a very earthy, healer witch type of a vibration, if that makes sense. She's obviously got these very herbal, you know, wise woman type vibes behind her. And my youngest is only a year, but she's another completely different personality as well. Yeah.
I wonder if you could hypnotise your kids.
Actually,
we'll talk about that off camera.
I do use some of the hypnotherapy techniques with them in terms of, because my son's autism means that he can be quite stressed out.
Yeah.
And those techniques work really, really well. I've got a workshop coming up this summer, which is to do with vision boarding and children, and some techniques to get them to get rid of some of the stress and put joy into their lives instead. So I do use those, particularly with my son, a lot. So it's one of the ways that I keep him sort of with a level head, if that makes sense.
Okay.
It's interesting you kind of mentioned that, say, one of your children was quite into that earthy kind of like elemental. I mean, that links quite nicely into this quite striking figure that you have next to you.
Yes, the Banshee, absolutely. So the Banshee is a much misunderstood figure. I started working with her probably about 6 years ago for clearance work, when working in nature was the first time she came in. And energetically, she's very much a guide for me, but coming in on the elemental and the earth energy vibration as well. So we obviously associate her with the Irish and with the Celtic roots, but it's the Celtic roots that actually the whole of the British Isles has. And I think we often forget that we've all got those same Celtic, very earthy roots. And she comes in on that vibration, and she not only helps with clearance and with passing souls on, but she also she came in with healing for me and my clients, and I've worked with her since then. On my own healing journey as well. So.
And we were talking a little bit before the show that, again, part of the reason why kind of the Banshee is misrepresented is kind of around the kind of times of loss or death. And
absolutely.
And actually kind of you were saying to us that that's nothing to be afraid of.
No, absolutely. So because the coming of the Banshee is very much associated with somebody's passing, and it's our fear of death. And it's understandable that we're afraid of death because it's painful and it hurts. And she's there not only to pass the soul on, but she's also there to help with the healing and the grieving process afterwards. Very much draws in the community. And if anyone's ever been part of a passing in Ireland, you'll know that the community and the whole wake aspect is very, very important. So she really tunes into that in order to help relieve the burden with the community. So.
Oh, wow.
But actually then kind of this beautiful artwork and indeed the Banshee itself are kind of the inspiration behind the book, I'm saying.
Absolutely. So there's a bit of storytelling in there. There's some of my own experiences with her. There's also, she works with grief, loss, deep sorrow. And in the book I talk about how that loss can be not just the obvious passing of a soul, but other things that we lose in life that we actually find very traumatic. And a loss of a change of a lifestyle, a job, anything, and how she heals that. And also she helps us with anger, and that's why she works so well with sound, because she enables us to say what we need to say from a level place, a place of love, and to speak, because quite often we don't say things and it all gets frustrated and pent up, and when we do go to say it, it's lost to the other person through anger often. So she helps us with all of that, and the idea is that she instead focuses us on love, joy and community.
Fantastic. I mean, just tell us then, where can we find the book?
So the book's available on Amazon, and you can buy a paperback copy if you're somebody who likes to actually have something to read through and to turn the corners of the page over. She's also available on Kindle. So there's a Kindle copy available to download as well if you like the technology, or you want to go on holiday with a Kindle and effectively 20 books. So,
Then how do you find is the experience different in the digital world compared to having something physical in your hand? Or?
I personally prefer to like yourself, to have something to read through, because I like being able to turn over corners, and I know I want to come back to the...
I like to see how far I've got as well. Look how much I've read.
But I do have a Kindle. Mostly it is for holidays, because I know that I've got quite a few books in there. And technology is amazing, because now I've been able to get the book out, not just to people in the area, but also internationally as well. So
fantastic. Well,
Okay, so where else can people find out information about what you do? Is it a Facebook page that you've got?
Yeah, I'm quite active on social media, so you'll probably find quite a bit on social media from me. But my Facebook page is Rachael's Reiki Healing and Beyond. But if you put in, and I'm really active on Instagram as well. Rachael's Reiki is my tag for Instagram. So
it sounds like the seagulls agree.
Yes. It's the sound healing, it's the sound engine.
And on that, I think that's a perfect place to stop for a break.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Hello and welcome back to Life Matters as we continue our look into how live readings and social media can affect one another. And Gilly, I believe we've got another guest.
Yes, John Taylor, welcome.
Thank you.
How are you feeling?
Fine, thank you. Yeah, good.
Good. So tell us a bit about what you do.
I'm a spiritual medium, and I do healing, but I don't advertise healing. Like Rachael said, it's all under an umbrella. If people, friends, feel not very well, or they say, "Oh, John, I've got a bad back or a bad knee," I do hands-on healing, but I don't advertise it because you've got to be very careful. We might cut this out, but it's assurance purposes and stuff. So I'll literally do it with friends or people that I won't do anything like necks or. But sometimes you just like a laying on of a hand or something.
Is that a bit irritating sometimes? Like, do you find your friends like phoning you up all the time? John, can you do this?
No, they respect. I think
good.
they respect my personal space and stuff. So yeah, you don't. And if they do, which I used to get some like 1, 2 in the morning, I tend to block. I don't answer back. If I'm awake and I get a message, some people message you like 1 in the morning, can have a reading, and I always find it's best not to respond. So they know you've seen it, but obviously you don't respond, and then in the morning I'll get back to them.
Okay.
They literally want it that night. Maybe they've had a few drinks or something, or they've got a problem at home or something.
You get keen and want to know, don't you? So how long have you been doing this for?
34 years.
Okay, because you do have a full-time job as well.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. So have you ever thought about doing this full-time, or
when I left my last job about 4 years ago now, I did go about 6 months full-time. But to be honest with you, I got a bit bored. It's like you're booking readings and you're waiting for people to turn up, and I'm not that. I get very restless, so I thought, you know what, I need to be physically doing something. Because you're just waiting for a knock on the door, basically, or going to someone's house or an investigation. And after about 6 months, some weeks were good, you can earn something, and other weeks not so good because, like you say, I'm not good at social media, website stuff. And I do find today that, obviously I'm getting older, but I notice now you need to be out there. You need to be advertising, like Instagram, Twitter.
It's the way forward now,
it's the way forward, without question. So I think you definitely need to be out there. Obviously, the more venues, the better.
That's kind of the theme of today's show then, is that for certainly consensus we seem to be getting from our other guests is that social media is all well and good to kind of advertise what you do, but to actually do what you do is quite impersonal, and a lot of people maybe kind of struggle to make that connection.
I do think so. Again, it's the way forward. It's happening. We can't change it. Personally, if I'm doing the readings, I like to do one-to-ones. People sit in front of you because I think your energy, or our combined energy, is conducive to the reading. And I find you get a lot better readings if they're sat in front of you. But then having said that, I've done readings in Australia, South Africa, Switzerland, and I find that some of them have gone really well.
I suppose it depends just on the energy level.
It depends, because...
Well, Australia was so good, he said it twice.
Maybe did I? Yeah, okay. But yeah, I find that sometimes they could be just as good, because like you say, spirit could be anywhere, it's a...
But then you were saying to us before as well that you don't go in and kind of say something if it's not there. Obviously, often with kind of social media and some of the TV programs have been out there, the idea of kind of sensationalising things or creating something that's maybe not there, you vehemently like to stick away from that.
No, I don't do that. It's a lot of pressure, like we were saying. I think today everyone's under social pressure, and if you are being filmed by a company and they expect something, but I find, I've been doing this 30 years and I've been doing house clearances. Again, I don't advertise word of mouth, but I've maybe done hundreds within Sallyann, Winchester, local areas, and people call you and you go to investigate. A lot of it is not bad stuff, if you know what I mean. Obviously, you get the few where the pipes need bleeding on the radiator, as simple as that. But I find, no, I don't big it up at all. But again, I just feel that now that there is a lot of pressure to do that, because to me, like you say, these programs today, it happens too quickly. I mean, literally, they're going in a room, is there anyone there? Less than 2 minutes of like something banging or knocking or stones throwing across the floor. And don't get me wrong, it can happen. It doesn't happen on tap as much as I think that it happens on TV.
So when did you realise you had a gift?
I suppose things started happening maybe 17, 18. I was a typical teenager, really going out drinking a lot, going places, you know, like we all do, all night raves, that's all night parties, and some things started happening there. I kept hearing my name, like I'd be in a pub and it's strange, and I know you could say it's drink. I heard my name called and it was like, John, just get out, go. And I'd look around and think, who was that? And there'd be no one there, and I'd go, and I literally never questioned it. And I just started trusting it, and literally I'd go out the pub, and then within 2 minutes there'd be a massive punch up in there or a brawl. And I mean, where like tables and chairs were thrown. And I was at the bar once years ago in the local club I used to drink, and I'm at the bar and just minding my own business, and all of a sudden I just heard duck. And I'm like, what? Someone said duck. So I literally went like that, and as I did, this table, some lad threw a table at another guy, and it literally came flying by my head, and I mean, missed me by inches. It would have most probably knocked me out cold, and it went right through the optics of the bar, and all the optics were smashed. And
oh my gosh, so this is going on over a couple of years?
Yeah, this is going on over a couple of years, and you start questioning it. You think this is just too much. Without getting too graphic, I could you know, there's loads of stories I could say that I've had bottles in my throat where I should have been killed, and someone's come and grabbed that person literally seconds before. Maybe they, I don't know if they would have done that, but
it certainly sounds like these voices are telling you to just drink at a different bar.
Yeah, but at the same time, I learned to trust them, and then I started.
And then, so how then did you go from kind of that level of trust to kind of using it to help others?
Well, I never really knew what was going on, and you just put it down. Am I going mad? Am I just cracking up? Is it paranoia? Is it voices, schizophrenia, that sort of thing? And I was just thinking that. And then when I met my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, she was going to the local spiritualist church. And she said, do you want to come along? So I said, okay, and went along, and it sat, and obviously they have different mediums every week. And then I started to realise what they were doing, and then I thought, well, you know what, I'm going to train and try to develop this further, and which is what I did, and I tried to see where it was coming from and where the voices were coming from. I mean, I used to walk in a pub and there'd be someone, like I could see someone transparently sat on the end of a stool, and I say to the barman, was that guy, did you ever know a guy with a flat cap? And he says, oh yeah, it was old Tom, he died the other week. And I see like Sally said, he wasn't there in spirit, but it was like an imprint. And things like that. And they go, yeah, how do you know that? And I go, no reason. And I look and I can sort of see a figure there and things like that. Like a shadow memory, yeah.
So it's interesting that you met your girlfriend, now wife, and she was into spiritualism, isn't it?
Yeah, and the funny thing was, years later, I know her guide, who's a nun, she actually come through and said to me, you were meant to meet, so she had to lead you to where you are now.
That's what I'm kind of thinking.
She actually physically told me that. She appeared one night in the bedroom and she stood in front of me, because you know, I'd get things like that, and she actually said, you were meant to meet for Debbie to get you where you are, to get you into where you are now. And it kind of makes sense. So I do believe at certain times, I don't believe in coincidences. I think that we are meant to meet people.
So what are your friends, when they want to speak to you, what sort of things are they asking you? Is it to connect with somebody on the other side, or?
Mainly, am I religious? But I'm not a real religious person.
Yeah.
I just know, to me, that spirits are 100%. I believe that because I've had so many things happen. So it's not really a belief to me, it's a knowing.
So you know you've also had like voices to you say duck or, you know, etc. Do you ever have moments where you say to, where something, you think something bad's going to happen to your friend or something, like, look mate, you can't go to so-and-so today? To
be honest, unless I get a time and date. I had a friend that used to do, she's a personal, Danny, she's gone to India now, but she's a personal massage.
Yeah.
And she used to come up once a month. And one day she was leaving and I just see her in a car crash and I thought, oh my God. But you don't get no time, no date, so you can't scare someone. This is what I'm saying, personal responsibility. If I turn around to you and say, oh, look out, you're going to have a car crash, I've put that thought now into your mind.
Oh no.
So you're going to start driving more cautiously, more nervously, more anxiously. Somewhere along the line, I might cause you to have a crash.
So did anything happen?
I didn't say nothing. Anyway, next time she came, because I was having a monthly massage, and she turned up a month later with another car. And she said, oh, the other night some guy pulled out at me in Winchester, but she was fine.
Oh my gosh.
So touch wood, there was no injuries, nothing sustained, just the car written off, so she had to scrap the car.
Did you say to her after that, oh, by the way?
I did tell her. Yeah, I did say that afterwards, but I wouldn't say, unless I was given a time and a date and specific thing, then I wouldn't say, because to me you're causing... I've heard it too many times where someone goes to a medium and they, or supposedly so-called medium, and they go, oh, you're going to die in 6 months, and the spirit wouldn't give, you're not privy to that sort of information.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody else on either side necessarily is privy to that information.
The amount of times I've had to go along to someone, or you get a call where they've had a reading and they're crying because they've been worried sick by that reading where the medium said something like that. And you're like, So at the same time, there's good in this, but also there's a lot of stupid people, I'll put it that don't know what they're doing and cause a lot of damage.
So you also say you've got a full-time job.
Yes.
What, do you find people at work constantly on your case?
Once they find out, they often come up, but most of them are quite interested. They don't mock it, or they're intrigued. Because they're like, oh, I never knew you did that. I know.
Yeah.
Like my last place, I worked there 9 years, and it was literally like when I was leaving that somebody just found out what I'd done. So they were intrigued.
Have you ever been in a situation though where kind of there's people they expect to see something and you just have to say, actually, no, there's nothing here?
Yeah, yeah. To be honest, like you say, I'm quite level-headed, and sometimes you've got to be, I think, because we get a lot of like TV again, and it's demonic.
Yeah.
Because I know. I got called to a house in Shirley, and they were getting a lot of movement, and things were moving, and it was a cat that passed.
Really?
And I walked in
I
and
don't
just
know,
saw
I've met
this.
some pretty evil cats.
Yeah, but the cat was like, I could see it walking across the mantelpiece, and they're like, and as we were saying this, the cards fell off the mantelpiece.
So what other things were moving? What was the cat moving? So the cards?
The curtain in the corner, even though the windows were shut, it always sat in the corner. As soon as I went in, I said, there's a cat sat there, and I described it, and she said, that's the one that passed Christmas.
Oh, wow.
And she said it used to jump up on the thing, go across the sofa, and then up on the mantelpiece. But literally, as we were talking, there was no breeze in the house, and these cards that were lent, that had been there for days, apparently, just all fell down in front of us and landed at our feet. So coincidence again. There was no windows open, there was no breeze. Just as I was saying it, it happened. So it's quite good.
It's interesting that you can kind of see the animals then as well as people. Obviously, again, it's that transference of energy, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely, transference of energy, like we were saying. Even though it's like the same tape, I still think they come back as well, and they can still move things. It's a strange. I don't know it all. I don't pretend to. You know, I can only give what I've experienced. Or everyone's got a different level of intelligence, say, of understanding, of connecting.
Yeah.
I'm just old school, basically. I sort of like the old time mediums. And
no, it's good. It's good to get like a different, angle from it.
Well, John, so the truth is out there. We just need to keep searching for it.
Definitely, yeah. And I hope people get their proof and validation one day. And thanks for the interview.
No, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Well, welcome back to Life Matters. We are nearly at the end of our show, but Julie, I think we've got time just for one more guest.
We have. Welcome, Annie.
Thank you.
So, tell us a bit about what you do.
Well, I run New Forest Mind Body Spirit, which is an online resource website which aims to shine a light on all things mind, body, spirit, holistic well-being of Dorset and Hampshire.
So you've recently launched that, haven't you?
Yeah.
So what kind of made you step into that?
Well, I've always, for quite a few years now, I've been very interested in holistic well-being. It's helped me phenomenally. And it was nearly 2 years ago that one day I was sitting at my desk and I was typing away, working at my desk, and suddenly I heard the words New Forest Mind, Body, Spirit be spoken to me from wherever it came from. And I thought, gosh, that's a good name. Let's see if anyone's got that domain, that website. And so I checked and they didn't. And so I immediately locked down, that's my website domain name. And I thought, right, done that, what's next? And then they started downloading this information to me, my guide, and giving me visions of what this is going to be. And ultimately, it's going to help all the people that are waking up to holistic well-being, to help them find the way forward, find the connections.
Sorry, just going back to your spirit guide there. When did you first realise that you had a spirit guide?
Oh, I've always known. They've always been there. They give me information a lot. I mean, even in school, I was getting information.
Do they change, or is it just the one all the way through?
I've never asked. I just accept that I've trusted any information that's come through.
Like exam results.
Yeah, I was going to say, did they help you in the exams? Because mine wasn't about.
No, they don't like exams either.
That explains a lot.
They went away and played.
Well, that it fits in quite nicely with the theme that we've got today. Obviously, New Forest immediately kind of conjures up, obviously, the beautiful landscape, but actually you've chosen to go down the digital route rather than kind of the physical. Why was that?
Well, I used to actually run a positive living group in Milford-on-Sea, and I used to have speakers there, and I used to then run a holistic living group, and I would have speakers come to that, which holistic living group was, instead of 1.5 hours, it became a whole day with 3 speakers, and it was great. But it only reaches a small amount of people. And then I was guided to create an online resource, a website, so it can reach more people. Because when I was running my holistic living group, this was, you know, I knew what I was going to be doing the following year, which was New Forest Mind, Body, Spirit. I remember one particular lady, she came up to me and I was telling her about, I said, well, November's the last group, and this was November last year, 2018. And I said that I was, this would be the last, and I'm getting ready to launch my new business, and this is what it's going to be doing. And she was so excited because she said, I need you to do this. She said, because I don't remember her words, but she was just waking up to another way, and she was from the corporate world. Nobody in her tribe were not our tribe, so to speak. So she couldn't talk about where she wanted to go. She couldn't find out information. And so I've known for a long time that there is a real need to reach out to those that are just waking up. Even the people that have woken up to mind, body, spirit, holistic well-being as an alternative to find their path, their soul path, even they need more connections. We learn from people all the time. So I was inspired to create the website as an online resource so someone in another country can look at it and still see the information. We are going to have events. We do have events. So right now the wellbeing practitioners, the holistic wellbeing people are advertising on the website. But I'm also having my own events that I'm developing.
So although you're kind of reaching out to kind of a wider tribe by using the internet, is that then how you're keeping the kind of the personal aspect to it? Because sometimes online, whether it be a website or social media, can be very sterile, and you do sometimes lose that personal touch. So are the events how you're keeping that touch?
Yes, so I'm a connector in this lifetime, and my job is to connect and help people on their path through New Forest Mind, Body, Spirit. So yesterday I actually had the first gathering of holistic wellbeing practitioners, and it was great. Lots of great connections made there. Everyone was on a high at the end, and in September I have another gathering happening, and I'm going to have various events, developing various events to bring the people together. Fantastic. In person.
Okay, so you also describe yourself as a psychic surgeon. So where did you come up with that, or what's behind that?
Well, I am naturally a psychic surgeon, so it turns out, but I don't want to be a therapist in this lifetime. But when I'm married to, I'm allowed to say?
Yes!
I'm married to Tony Mills' Soul Whisperer. He's a therapist, and when I met him, I started to, I mean, he does lots of this, what people call the woo-woo stuff.
Yeah.
And he channels guides. And so I thought, well, this is interesting. And I had always noticed that before I met my husband, that I would be standing, waiting to cross the road, and perhaps there was an old man or old woman standing next to me, and I could see they're not healthy. And my hands would just start to come up, and I'm like, what's going on here? And so when I met my husband, I started to explore that aspect, and I even was talking in tongues, and really interesting things were happening. And it wasn't until I went to a positive living group when I moved to the New Forest, and I was listening to a psychic surgeon, and I was like, oh my God, that's what I do. And I had no idea that that's what it was.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah.
And so you don't want to explore that in this lifetime. How then are you going to maybe guarantee to yourself that you can explore it in another one? Obviously, again, with that kind of belief of kind of different lifetimes, that you might come back and go, actually, no, I want to be a cat.
Well, in this lifetime, we all have abilities, we all have healing abilities, and they're always coming up, and we have choices what to do with all of our gifts that we have. And so I know on a deep level that I am not to be a healer in this lifetime in that way, on an individual basis. I'm here to help the healers. I'm here to help the well-being community, be them yoga teachers, Reiki masters, whatever. I'm here to help them and find a way of supporting them and helping them reach people. So ultimately, we can reach a greater community of people that need their help.
But then there's still no guarantee that you'll be able to do that in the next lifetime.
This is this lifetime. There is only the now.
Okay. No. It's, again, just from a perspective, it's something that I've never truly understood, and it's some people, from what I understand, believe that they can kind of pass things on to the next version of themselves, and some people believe that it's just totally random. But it's just interesting to get a different perspective on that.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you believe? Do you think that you can kind of pass some of your current traits onto the next version of yourself?
I do. I believe that our skills are always here, and we're amassing skills. Each lifetime we amass more and more skills, so that we'll never lose them. We just develop them and we amass more, and eventually, hopefully, we become this awesome being and reach enlightenment.
Fantastic.
Okay, brilliant. Well, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you.
And if you want to see more information, then please see the website at the bottom of the screen.
Well, I'm afraid that's all the time we've got on today's show. Thank you very much to all our guests, and it's certainly been an interesting show today, hasn't it, Julie?
Absolutely, as always.
As always, though, if you want to see more, please like and subscribe. The details should be on the bottom of the screen. But for myself, Richard Stringer,
And Julie Frank, it's goodbye.
goodbye for now.